Well, it's great to be back in Conrisa Gastro bar with my good friend Hansi StØkken. Hansi, wine tastings on the radio. There's nothing better, is there?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. As long as we can get away with it.
As long as we can get away with it. So we're going to be exploring some of the wines of Spain today.
Yes, we will.
And some nice dishes to go along with it.
Absolutely.
Well, just to ask you, how was your summer here in Conrisa?
Well, it's been okay. I mean, you know that we had a really hot summer, so where we're situated, there's a lot of regulars coming in, and obviously some tourists coming out.
Yeah.
But majority would like to go down to the beach, go for a swim, go to the chiringuitos. But we do not complain, and we also had some add-on from the concerts at Mare Nostrum, as you know, the castle down there. So in general, we just changed the timetable a bit because it was really, really warm midday. Good thing people get thirsty, so when they first arrived, yes.
It was good.
They did consume.
Yeah. Hansi, you have a lot of different businesses, but I kind of get the feeling that Conrisa Gastro Bar is really your passion.
So it is,
yeah.
Absolutely. It's the balance between being very fond of good food and good drinks and trying to keep your weight.
Right.
But yes, it's my passion indeed. As you know, I'm a sommelier and we travel all over Spain and visit small wineries and reach an agreement with them directly, so there's no one in between, and we always aim for quality and good price.
Yeah, and I think here you get both, and the success of your wine tastings, I think, is a compliment to the fact that you try to get everything just right, because you're pretty much full house every wine tasting, aren't you?
It's been okay, and I'm really glad because. Like you said, it's the wine and it's the food, and all together we want this to become a really, gastronomic experience.
But it's the company as well. But
absolutely.
Because the atmosphere is excellent. And I have to say, you have a lot of Scandinavians who come to the wine tasting, don't you?
They do.
And they like their wine.
They like the wines, and they like to start singing their songs back from the old Vikings day, and especially when we pass the second and third wine, everything goes smoother.
Everything goes smoother.
It does.
Absolutely. So I should just say we are doing this as an outside broadcast, and there may be some background noises and people starting to arrive and things, so don't worry about that.
Nope.
We hope that everyone will be able to hear us. And actually, we are doing this in video form as well, which you'll be able to look at in glorious Technicolor on YouTube after we actually broadcast. So, Hansi, what have you got for us today?
Well, obviously the whole pairing menu is 5 wines and 5 different dishes, and 2 of them you have in front of you right now. They're cold, that's why it's easier to maintain them that way.
Yeah.
And the first one, as you have in front of you on the right, is a Greek salad.
Yeah.
And this one is paired with
the Greek salad.
a wine from our neighbor region, Murcia.
Okay.
The northern parts of Murcia, the wine area is called Mijas. And actually the frontiers towards Castilla-La Mancha, that many people know, especially for the Manchego cheese. So also part of the Castilla-La Mancha in the Albacete province also belongs to the same wine area.
Right.
Actually, that area even used to belong to Murcia, I think up to 1980 something.
Okay.
But they have made some excellent wines. One of them is in front of us now. It's a 100% Sauvignon Blanc. That's as far as my French goes, as you know. But so let's try it. Greek salad and Spanish wine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Thank you.
And for those that may not be aware, Murcia is on the east coast of Spain, so
Yes.
really tucked right into the Mediterranean, and it can be a bit on the dry side down there, can't it?
It can. It's not a big region either. Right now, one of the best tennis players in the world, Mr. Alcaraz is his name, I believe.
Okay.
He comes from Murcia, for instance, but they're famous for agriculture and
Yeah.
wines.
So this is a white wine for
It's a
those
white
listening
wine.
on the radio.
Yep.
What can we expect from this wine, Hansi?
That it tastes good. Well, we can expect that. I always try them separate, the food and the wine. Try the food now, I get the flavors of the food, and it seems to be a Greek salad. Now I try the wine.
Okay. I'm going to
And
put
the
a
wine
little
has
bit of
kind
salad in here
of three
first.
different, how should we say, test measurements. One is the smell.
Okay.
Then you can decide for yourself what you feel like comes out of it. I get some citrus. I get some.
Yeah. It's more citrus than a sort of flowery type wine, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Then
there's a kind of sweetness in the
there is as well.
smell as well. Yes.
And luckily, this is an individual thing. There's no, there's no fixed answer to this. It's your experience and what you feel that comes out of it.
Okay.
I mean, there's been a lot of tests on people being blindfolded, they're so-called experts, and they just miss because, and that's what I like about it. It's like people say, "What's a good wine?" I say, well, "The wine that you like is a good wine for
But
you."
I think that's an important point that you make. Let's try it. It's very light
Very
wine,
light.
very light. And actually, with something like a Greek salad, and you've got feta cheese
Yeah.
and things here.
But there's always the balance because the Greek salad, I mean, depending on how, there's certain spices in there and they obviously leave a flavor.
Yeah.
So, but still, we try to pair the wine so the food should not kill the wine and the other way around, so to speak. And that's what we try to achieve. So we always start with, how should we say, not so strong plates.
Right.
And then gradually we build up. So later on we'll have another white. Then we have 2 reds on the menu today, and also
Okay.
we're going to finish off with the
And
cava.
Mijas is mainly famous for white wines.
No, actually not. We also have some excellent red wines from that area. We
Okay.
also make some rosé. It always depends on the grape and the climate and so on. But we, for instance, from the same winery buy a red wine that's been on barrel for about 5 to 6 months.
Right.
And it's a blend between Monastrell and Syrah. And yeah, absolutely, comes out very nice.
Yeah. I'm getting the sun right in my face, so I'm going to move just a little bit and make sure my wine stays in the shade.
We can't really complain, but it's hot, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think we're doing okay down here because a lot of Europe's gone into freeze.
Food and wine together. You get a clearer balance of the...
And you'll always find there, Hansi, as well, that your first sip of the wine isn't the same as your second or third. The flavours kind of build up in your mouth, don't they?
They do also, because I mean, first of everything you put in your mouth, if you haven't had a drink or something to eat for a while, it's like, the cavity of your mouth has its own, how should we say, little world in there.
Right.
So the first one will blend with that, so you won't get the really two flavours of the wine or the food. So
Sure, yeah. But I have to say, well, I've never had a bad wine here at Conrisa.
yeah. No.
Would I get my money back if I said I had? No.
As I say, life is too short to wear long trousers and drink bad wine. That's why we live here.
It is indeed.
And I do have long trousers today, but
There's a very, very nice light Greek salad as well.
it is. It's all about the balance. That's it.
So, Hansi, you have your wine tastings throughout the year.
Yep.
We're in a beautiful sunny day today, and we're having cold dishes.
Yep.
When the weather changes a bit, because it does get a bit fresher and cooler down here, do you tend to change the type of food that you serve with the wines?
Yes, exactly, because the typical thing would be like in winter time, you would maybe tend to have more red wines because the climate is different, it's colder and so on, while in spring, summer and so on, maybe more white, rosé, cava, which is a challenge. And in the winter you might, you would like to have a nice hot stew, and so, but we always do this like 7 to 10 days in advance.
Right.
The chef comes out, suggestions of the menu, and obviously it's also important to try to find something that everyone can go along with, because
Sure.
some people don't like sardines, others love them. So you have to find that little blend there.
Oh, you mean there are Scandinavians that don't like sardines? Two of them, yes.
Two. So he comes out, and then we sit down and to the menu, and we literally try the menu. So I have him to make the dishes. So we sit down and try with the separate wines, because you really never know. You can have an idea, but you never really know until you really tried it.
Yeah, and I have to say, Hansi, you have invited us on occasions to do the trial run of the wine tastings and the menus, and to give feedback. And that's nice to try as well, just amongst friends.
Exactly.
Yes.
And sometimes you get surprised, because wow, that was 100% spot on. While other times you're like, So even this time I swapped the wine for another, because I felt that apparently my brain senses didn't really get the whole concept. So
right, okay.
Luckily there are more wines than just one, so it's never a problem.
Yes. Yeah. So what do we have here now, Hansi? I see a very nice bottle on the table.
Yes. This is an area in Spain that might not be that recognized. It's called Ribeiro. Many people might have heard of Rías Baixas, which is in Galicia, as you know, in the Pontevedra province.
Yeah. So again, that's right on the sort of northwest tip of Spain.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So they bought towards Portugal. So when you cross the border, you are in Pontevedra. That's where you province, and that's where you have Rías Baixas, which is maybe the most famous grape, as said, and the grape there is Albarino. Well, so that's literally on the coast, very close to. So then we talk about the Atlantic breeze and the impact and so on. And the Albarino grape is also a climbing grape, so they harvest it up there while the majority is
on the ground.
Well, this one, Ribeiro, is also from Galicia, so the same region, county, but it's more inland.
Right.
And this is a blend of Treixadura and Palomino, two different grapes.
Which I think most people will not have heard of, because I think that they must be fairly specific to this area. Yeah.
But it is a common area, and they make some absolutely excellent wines, and that's what we're going to try now.
We're going to try, and what are we going to have with this?
This is like a vegetable pate, and it has a name. I have to read it. It's called looking for my glasses.
Yeah.
Muhamara, which sounds very.
It sounds very Arabic.
Maybe
yes.
originally it was, because as you know, the influence the Arabs had.
Sure.
On especially in Andalusia, but I tried it before, so.
Right. So.
Anyone is to be.
Do we try this before the wine? It's got some.
Wine first.
Is that parsley or coriander that's on the top?
Yeah.
Parsley.
Let's try the wine first.
Okay.
The first one we had, as well as this one, you can easily drink it by the glass. It doesn't have to be served with food.
Right.
It's not a heavy wine. It's
okay. Salud.
Salud.
Oh, that's very different, isn't it?
Very different.
Very different. It's a drier. Well, to my palate, it's a drier wine.
Drier and also more powerful.
Yeah.
So, back to what I said before, this dish will be stronger, so to speaking, a bit.
Right. Okay.
Than the first one.
Wow. That is really good.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it looks very tomatoey, but it doesn't taste very tomatoey. There's a lot of flavours in here.
I thought the same. I was surprised. And then,
oh yeah, yeah.
It changes.
Very much so. But because I don't know what's in this, but really interesting flavours. Really interesting. There's almost a little bit of sweetness in it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think, as you say, you try this wine with this, and the wine tastes totally different. But I guess it's because there's different flavours and different things in your mouth.
It's this blend of the liquid world and the solid world of food, how they blend together and kind of one, how should we say, fulfill the others, right?
Yeah.
So,
How easy is it to find these wines? This is from Galicia area, Ribeiro.
Yep.
How easy is it to find these wines, Hansi?
I think the area itself, Ribeiro, is a growing area. It's becoming more famous. Like
Right.
Mijas, and Albarino is the one that people know the most. But so I'm sure if you go to certain supermarkets, maybe Carrefour and so on would have it. I don't know.
Right.
This particular wine, as you know, I mean, we buy directly from the winery, so you can buy them here at ours if you want
Yeah.
to come and buy a case or come here and try it first. If you like it, maybe you take a case home.
And just to make people jealous in other parts of the world right now, what kind of price are we talking about? This is a superb wine, but what kind of price are we talking about for a bottle of this? And not maybe even restaurant prices for sitting in and drinking it. I mean, we're talking about €5, €10, €20, €30.
We're talking somewhere between 5 and 10, maybe 8.
That is going to make some people very jealous, Hansi.
Hope so. that gives them an excuse to come out and try it.
Listen, I remember years ago, but when I had an apartment here in Spain and going back home to Scotland and looking for Spanish wines in the supermarket, and I found this one. There wasn't many to choose from. Found this one. I think then it cost about £4 or £5, and we thought, well, that's okay. Came back to Spain on holiday, went into the supermarket, and they were selling it for €1.19.
There you go. There you go.
So this is just to make people jealous. Tell us again the name of this wine.
The grapes, you mean?
No, the name of the wine is.
It's called Aduc Tempus, which
Aduc.
means like aún hay tiempo. There is still time. There's still time to drink.
There's
good
still
wine.
time. always time for a good wine.
Always,
Yeah.
always find an excuse.
Well, I have to say that this. Well, you called it vegetable pate, is
nice.
really quite outstanding.
And that's what I like about this, because some people have an opinion about food, and we all do. It's not a question of that, but I like to surprise people. I think I told you before, I've done wine tasting just for couples. The wife gave a wine tasting, set up menu for her husband, and he came in and I already had the menu and everything prepared. I said, I only drink red. Okay, fine, so So he got his red, the wife had the full menu with rosé and white and so on. And when we finished, we sat
Chatted
down
about it, yeah.
and so on. And I said, there's one wine I would like you to try. And he said, yeah, sure, absolutely. And the reason why I want him to try that, because we very often have a stereotypical opinion about things, because, the old days it was, if it's meat, it'd be red wine, if it's fish, it's got to be white wine.
Yes, yes.
So we have a white wine from Rioja, which many people know the area, and it's been on barrel, just like red wines, because that's where you have the different categories.
Right.
You have Roble, you have Crianza, you have Reserva and so on, right?
Yes.
So this was a white wine that's been on barrel for 5 months. Obviously, it will get the same flavors as a red wine.
Of course.
So you will have chocolate, vanilla, coffee.
Because that's coming from the barrel,
Exactly.
isn't it? Yeah.
So I blindfolded him and told him try this. I took it out of the cooler a bit before, so it was a bit warmer, red wine temperature, 15 degrees.
Yeah.
He tried it and he said, I loved it. And I said, I'm sorry, but you like white wine as well?
Yes, yes. So, Hansi, by the magic of radio, we have a completely new set of propositions in front of us right here.
We do.
And we're on to a red wine.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
We changed colour. Indeed. Well, we got some meat in front of us, some carpaccio. It's not on the menu today for the simple reason that they are now preparing.
They're preparing today's,
So
yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's not a good blend, because it is. So this wine is maybe from, internationally one of the most famous areas in Spain, Rioja.
Yes.
And it says Caucus on the bottle, and that A thing we have in the Norwegian alphabet.
The AAE, yeah.
And basically in Latin that means the blind.
So we're not going to go blind if we drink too much of this, are we?
I can't promise.
Well,
No,
you haven't gone blind, and you've drunk a few bottles of this, I guess, in your time, yes.
Yeah, but then again, my vision when I could go to bed might be a bit diminished, but okay. No, the story behind it is that this winery, which is run by 8 siblings, is in a small little village in Rioja called El Ciego. And as you know, El Ciego
Right,
is
the blind, yeah.
This is a young wine, just like us, which means it's not been touching wood, it's not been on barrel. So this is grape juice with alcohol.
Right.
Okay. Now, Rioja is, as you know, a county, and the capital is called Logroño.
I thought you were going to put me to the test as you usually do and go, and what's the capital? And I wouldn't have remembered.
Oh, I'll do that with the next one. You're not getting away, don't worry. So the wine producing area, Rioja, actually unfolds on 3 different counties. So you got Rioja, which is called Rioja, and the capital is Logroño, and then you have Navarra, and then the Basque Country.
Right.
So this particular wine comes from the Basque Country.
Ah, right, and that's still part of Rioja. I didn't realise that.
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yes. quite
Yeah,
unique
so
product.
when people see a bottle of Rioja in the supermarket, there's no guarantee where this comes from. You need to look at the
You have to look at the label.
the label and see. And this one, El Ciego, España. So you look up and see where El Ciego is. Yeah.
Many people might know of a winery that is very close, just 500 meters down the road. When I started the business, I had this idea of, this is like Falcon Crest. I'm just going to drive up all these alleys and this. And then you pass and it's a barn and you thought, there's a farmer in there. And basically that it is, it's a small farm. They might have a few hectares of grapes, but it's not big.
Yeah.
So, for instance, this winery maybe produce about 100,000 bottles a year. Then divided in different categories. As red, they have white. Then you have the young wine, you have the Crianza, you have the Reserva, and so on. But a very famous winery just down the road is called Marqués de Riscal.
Oh yes, yeah.
People might have heard of that.
Yeah.
And that is also an excellent winery.
Yeah.
Then again, I find this wine being just as good, I would say better, but the price is more economic.
Yeah. Do you want to make people jealous?
Hope so.
Yeah.
Should we try the carpaccio before it gets cold?
Before it gets hot, yes.
Probably.
Okay. And carpaccio is basically cured beef, yeah?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
So this isn't like we're having carpaccio because we're having red wine. It's because you're not a big fan of saying fish has to be white
No. And it's when you travel to these places, we will have a carve at the very end.
Yeah.
Dessert today, and then you will see that. I remember we were up there, also in Rioja. You ask the people that you get to know and deal with, and they will recommend you restaurants, which are they serve typical food from the area, and obviously in Rioja there will be a lot of red wine because that's the mostly famous from. They make also rosé wine. They also make white wine. So they will send you to restaurants that they know they will find the excellent blend.
Right.
Same thing we're trying to do now. Find the excellent blend between food and wine.
Indeed. So which do we go for first? The wine?
The wine first.
Okay.
Is, as said,
it's a very nice colour, isn't it? It's very dark.
Mm-hmm. And since there's no touching wood here, this is isable drinkable.
Yeah.
So you can have it by the glass, or you can have a bottle for your dinner or lunch. This blend, because it's a blend now, every area they have to follow the rules and regulation that goes within the area. So to be able to say, I'm from Rioja, when it comes to red, they cannot blend the wine with more than 15% of other grapes.
Of other grapes, yes.
With apart from the main one, which is Tempranillo.
Okay.
So that's the main grape. So you can add another up up to 15%. This case, it's 95% Tempranillo, and 5% Garnacha. And Tempranillo is more sweetish,
right?
while Garnacha is more bitter.
Yeah.
So they've done a little touch there to level it out a bit.
Oh, it has a very nice nose, though. I'm not going to say I can smell raspberries and rhubarb and blackcurrants, but it's no, I can't. It just smells good.
Have a sip. Let's try some food.
Yeah, and I see there's little bits of cheese in here, and I love cheese, so I'm going to take some of that as well.
And then we try the wine. Once again, it changes character, but hopefully to the better.
Yeah, it's interesting. Food sometimes with white wines, it seems to intensify the flavour, and because red wines tend to have a much fuller body, with food the flavour softens a little bit.
True.
Well, in my palate anyway.
Oh, yeah, but we're back to the same. It's finding this balance between food and so we are kind of, I should say, drinking us, up on levels. So you can't start with a strong curry as the first dish, because there were no flavors left, to beat that. Then we will be drinking tequila and tacos at the end. So you have to find this blend. So we had 2 white wines. We're going on a smooth red wine, still more flavor to it than the white wines, and then the next one is another red wine, and then that's another notch up. So it's trying to find that balance, and that's very important when you go out and for a meal. If ask what do you recommend. I'm not sure that people always recommend what they necessarily find being the best wine. Unfortunately, some just recommend it because they want to sell that wine, purchase that wine because they make more money or whatever. But if you go to a decent place and
But Hansi, maybe I'm a Philistine, but there's a lot of snobbery around wines, and I've had friends who automatically think that because a wine costs 60 euros a bottle or 70 euros a bottle, it must be better than one that costs 10 euros a bottle. And I don't know, I see that to some extent as snobbery.
Yes, I agree to that, and I think when you come up to a certain level, the extra money you're paying does not compensate for that little extra flavor that it might have.
Yeah.
I tried wines from 80s, 70s, and I think it's more from a collecting point of view that maybe you have a wine bottle from 50s, 60s, probably that wine, not necessarily, will now be vinegar. Which, fine, you can use that for cooking, but it's going to be very expensive cooking if you're going to pay 2,000 euros for a bottle of vinegar. But that's the process, or that's what happens, because if oxygen comes in to a bottle of wine, that process starts. And I mean, there's a lot of, some of the wineries as well, they also make vinegar on the side.
Yes, yeah. Is the idea of oxygen getting in, I mean, traditionally, of course, we had cork in the neck of the bottle, and now very often we get more of these plastic corks. Does that make any difference in terms of oxygen getting in?
Not really, as long as it's sealed.
Okay.
That's the whole idea. And bear in mind, it's also the way you store your wine.
So, Hansi, we are getting through the wine.
Yeah,
we have another red wine in front of us at the moment. Tell us about it.
Okay. Now we are in Andalusia. Andalusia is not particularly famous for making a lot of wine. Well, they are, but it's called sweet wine, as you know. Malaga Dulce.
The Malaga Dulce, yeah. Yes.
Close to. However, there are areas that has really evolved in over the last, I would say, 10-15 years, and one of them is Ronda.
Oh, okay.
Because as you know, Ronda is quite far up, so the climate is similar to some of the other wine producing areas.
Yeah, and just to explain about Ronda, it's probably, if you're going as the crow flies, about 1 hour inland from the coast, but very high up.
Yeah.
And they do have, when you move inland, the temperatures vary so much more than they do here on the coast, for example.
Yeah. And that's the reason, because so is it like if you go to Rioja, they might have a few days of minus in the winter, and they will also have hot summer. So it's still not the same, because it's more extreme in Ronda, especially the heat in the summer. But
yes.
So Ronda is also, how should we say, a protected area for producing wine, which means you have to follow certain rules and regulation. What kind of grapes? How you do the fermentation, so on and so on.
Right.
Now, this particular wine is just outside Ronda. It's a blend as well, 4 grapes.
Yeah.
Try to remember them. Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
Cabernet Franc, Tempranillo, and Syrah.
You got it right. I'm reading the bottle here, and you got it absolutely right, yes.
Which is the reason why they don't call themselves a wine from Ronda. Because Ronda would not accept the blend they made.
Okay.
And from my point of view, I think that's the character of this wine that makes it absolutely lovely. Because they managed to blend these 4 grapes in an absolutely amazing way. So rather than call it Ronda, they call it the Sierras de Malaga.
Okay, so the mountain range of Malaga Mountains, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But still, so it gives them more flexibility. They can, blend more and...
Yeah, and experiment a bit more with different grapes and things.
Exactly.
And, it's what we've said before. At the end of the day, a good wine is one that you enjoy.
Exactly.
We were given just last week a bottle of wine from a friend. He said, try this. And it was 99 cents at the supermarket. And actually, it was drinkable. But my goodness, it gave me acid. It was like, no, it's like I never get acid, but a couple of glasses of this, which was drinkable, but it was very acidic.
Yeah, but which is, usually the price kind of reflects the quality of a wine, even if you buy it in the supermarket, and obviously you can buy some excellent wines in supermarkets as well, depending on the price. And sometimes you can find really nice wines in the supermarkets. Why? Because, maybe there's a winery that, we're stuck with 30,000 bottles, let's sell it to Carrefour.
Sure.
So I every now and then, if I'm in a supermarket, that's a nice
I'll try that, yeah.
Absolutely, But
well, this one didn't even have a label on it. It just had a little sticker at the bottom, but no label, no name, nothing. And we thought, well, you have to try it. You have to try it. Yeah. But I wouldn't.
Kind of, doing a blind test without getting blind.
Yeah, I just wouldn't be going back for more, I don't think. So Hansi, we've got what in Spanish we call embutidos here,
yes.
Which are basically cured meats.
Yeah.
We've got lomo, which is a pork, cured pork.
Correct.
We've got salchichon, which is a kind of a Spanish sausage.
Yeah.
And we have some cured ham, jamon serrano.
Yes.
And also some cheese.
Yes.
So, which do we go for first? Do we go for the wine first, or do we go for the food first?
We should, because the wine, we know that the character of the wine will change with the food.
Okay.
Well, if you have the food, the wine will change the character as well. But I always prefer to start with the wine, so you know the pureness of the wine, so to speaking.
Okay.
And so let's try it first, and then.
So, shall we do Skål this time? I won't ask you to sing.
No, please don't. You might ask me to be in a boy band.
This is very different from the last red.
Very powerful. This is not a wine for, you can have a glass and enjoy it. This is a powerful wine.
It's yeah.
This is
there's a lot of, this is...
And this has also been on barrel for several months. So
right.
you get the...
And is that what crianza means, that it's been barreled?
Yes, it depends on how long it's been stored.
Right, okay.
And in the wine world, they swap between American oak and French oak.
Okay.
Now, French oak is 3 times more expensive than the American oak. and it's it's just around the corner. But the oak is known to have a better quality. Sometimes they spend some month in the American ones, sometimes the French, and the other way around. Sometimes just French. Sometimes it all depends. This is the science of wine, right?
Right.
And this is the enologist that chooses this. An enologist is an expert from. They put this little plant. Usually they buy them when they're like 1 year old, and then they start to grow.
Right.
So after 3-4 years, they can have the first harvest. But that wine would be maybe for what should you say, the local table wine, so to speak.
Is that what they would call vino de la tierra? Is kind of like country wine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now the thing is that maybe the best wines will come off of grapes that maybe are 80 to 100 years old.
Oh, right.
The production is less as well.
Okay.
So that also will reflect the price. But anyway, in this case, we have to try it with the food now.
But this is a lot of body, this wine.
It's a lot of body. It's a full body. So that's what I'm about to say, sorry. So an enologist is the one that controls all these phases when it comes to growing the grapes, as well as the actual harvest, which is cosecha or vendimia. And if you are a small winery, you follow the rules and regulation of what they call pago, which means that, for instance, the winery should not be more than 20 minutes away from where you actually collect the grapes.
All right, okay.
Well, many of the big ones, and I don't have anything against that, but they buy grapes or they
buy them in, yes.
So it's easier for them to maintain the same quality because they can kind of blend and mix.
Right.
Well, some years we don't even buy the wines from some of these wineries because the harvest wasn't good.
Yeah.
And then they usually sell it, locally around in the village. Or
but you get good buys with these local wines sometimes. When we've been travelling inland in Andalusia and go to some, usually not a fancy restaurant, but going to some typical Spanish restaurant, Vicky will always ask for, what do you have in Vino de la Tierra? And they'll bring something out that's not on the menu, but it's a locally produced wine, and we've never had a bad one.
Absolutely. But it's like maybe the production is like 2,000 litres instead of 20 because that is...
Right.
So rather than label the bottles and all that, which is extra cost for them, they just sell it. So it can still be a good wine.
Yeah.
Maybe the quantity is not big enough to commercialise it.
And it couldn't be reproduced year after year, basically. Right, okay. Shall we try this, right? I'm going to try some of the lomo, salchichon, and a bit of jamon serrano, and we have some cheese here as well.
Yes, we do.
And I have to say, Hansi, the cheeses that you buy here at Conrisa are always excellent. We'll try that first
because to keep up the quality of our products.
You do indeed.
Still, the wine is quite strong.
It is, but
even if this is cured meat, it's not a very. Once again, they're preparing the kitchen now for the. So this is not what we're going to have on the menu today.
Right.
We could get this because it was easy for the kitchen to prepare it. So we should have had a plate that was a bit more powerful, so to speak, to blend with the wine, but it still makes a difference.
Yeah, but I just tried some of the cheese before I tasted the wine again, and it's a nice strong cheese, this, and I could tell the difference between the one wine and the first taste and the second taste. Excellent.
And with the chorizo especially, which is more spicy.
I think we have fought bravely through to our 5th glass of wine, but this is not an ordinary wine, is it?
No, this is cava, which are produced several places in Spain, but the most famous one is in Penedès, which is about 20 minutes drive outside of Barcelona.
So that's Catalonia.
That's Catalonia.
Yeah.
The soil is very similar to Bordeaux in France. In the old days, they called Cava Champagne.
Right.
Obviously, the French said not going to happen.
Because the name is associated with the region, and
In France,
yes,
correct.
yeah,
So they chose Cava because in Catalan that means
a cave.
on the cave underneath ground.
Yeah,
And it's a wine tasting, and he said, well, the interesting thing about this is actually what we're having is a wine, but with bubbles.
right.
And the bubbles come from the yeast. So there are 4 grapes in here: Chalelo, Macabeo, Pinot, and Chardonnay.
Okay.
So it was a wine until they put yeast on it. They put the bottles upside down then, and then they store them between 15 and 30 meters underground.
Right.
And the bubbles come from the yeast, and they go every now and then and turn that bottle around so the yeast get a bit shaken up and
Yeah.
produces more bubbles. So it is a wine, kind of. It is, but with bubbles.
With bubbles.
Yeah.
So, and we're having this with a dessert,
Yeah.
which is
Chocolate collant.
chocolate coulant, which I have to say, to make everyone jealous yet again, looks absolutely delicious.
And I have to say it is.
It is. You tried it already, have you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we'll try the cava first. So this is like Spanish champagne, really.
It is.
And
It's to champagne.
skål.
Skål. Then many people will think that chocolate, vanilla, you should definitely have a red wine. Yes, we could, absolutely.
Yes.
But the freshness of this should blend very well with the flavors that. So what I'm trying to say that the flavors of the wine is
Yeah.
already in there. The chocolate is there, the vanilla is there, the sweetness. So this is a fresh.
Yeah, and this particular cava, you have virtually the same classifications as you would for champagnes. You have brut, which is the dry one, or semi-secco, which is the semi-dry.
Correct.
And which is this?
This is Brut Nature.
Brut Nature.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's quite dry.
So it's quite a dry.
And also the sugar content is less.
That's good for us diabetics, isn't it? Right, shall we try the
Sure,
coulant? Yeah.
We should.
I'm going to try and not dribble this down my shirt. It's warm, it's rich.
Try that with the cava. I keep being surprised every time.
Yeah, again, it alters the whole sensation.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like what I'm saying is like a red wine would have the flavors of what we're eating. It might have vanilla, chocolate,
Right, okay, yeah.
sweetness. So now we compensate it the other way. That's like the wine matching the cava.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is.
Hansi, whilst we tuck into this, I think our time is pretty much up. And oh yes, that is just delicious. You know,
amazing what
one
you
last
use.
bit, one last bit before we have to wind up, Hansi.
Yeah.
Can I just say then, thank you once again for joining us, well, technically on Expat Radio, although we are filming this, which people will be able to look on YouTube to have a look at it. And thank you for your courtesy here in Conrisa Gastro Bar as you prepare for yet another full house for your wine tasting. Hansi, thank you so much.
As always, a pleasure, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you.